The promise of nickel beer. I have noticed that whenever a man takes an oath of office, he does it with one hand on the Bible and the other reaching around behind him to see what Providence has left in his hip pocket. Dan Harmon took such an oath in the town of Knoll, Missouri, a settlement of modest size and immodest scenery along the Elk River in the southwest corner of the state. He swore to faithfully and fairly represent his constituents, a promise every mayor makes and most keep, mainly because the constituents are watching. Now Harmon sat with pen in hand, trying to recollect how the whole lunatic business got started. Most wars begin with an insult, and this one was no different. In the spring of 1961, the Missouri Highway Department published a document called the Family Vacation Land Map, and in assembling it, the department managed to leave off several McDonald County communities. The resort town of Knoll was omitted altogether, which is a remarkable feat of carelessness, like printing a map of Egypt and forgetting the pyramids. A resort owner named Norman Smith Jr. took up the grievance and circulated a petition calling for a meeting. The way a man pokes a fire he judges isn't burning fast enough. A county resident named Wilma Mospore then rose at said meeting and delivered the sentence history will record. She said, "We should secede from the state. There's a directness in Ozark speech that I've always admired. A diplomat would have taken 40 pages to arrive at the same place. Harmon, it should be said, wore 2 hats, which is one more than most heads can support. He was Knoll's mayor, and he was also vice president of the McDonald County Territorial Provisional Government. You may rest your chin in your hand and repeat those words a time or two, since they don't improve with familiarity." In this second and grander capacity, he took up his pen to write to Governor Forbes of Arkansas. The proposal was simple enough. Forbes would open negotiations with Governor John Dalton of Missouri, and the two would discuss McDonald County departing Missouri and being adopted as a foundling by the state of Arkansas. Harmon and the provisional government's president, a gentleman named Z.L. McGowan, kept a second plan in reserve, holding that a wise man never bets his whole pile on one card. Under this alternative, McDonald County of Missouri would join hands with Benton County of Arkansas and Cherokee County of Oklahoma, and the three would set up shop as the 51st state of the Union. I can't say what they meant to call it, though I expect the naming committee would have come to blows before the boundary committee ever sat down. Not every Missourian was amused. Most folks understood the secession to be a farce got up for entertainment, yet it rubbed certain parties in Jasper County the wrong way. Jasper County lies just north of McDonald County, and it was home to a Civil War reenactment outfit called the United Sons of the Union and Confederacy. These gentlemen learned that the provisional government had filed official papers with the state declaring McDonald County's desire to quit Missouri's company, and judged it as a matter requiring stern measures. In April of 1961, they drafted an ultimatum, that being the favorite literary form of men who own muskets, McDonald County would abandon its secession or suffer the consequences, and a reply was demanded within 24 hours. The next day, President McGowan and Provisional Attorney General Robert Yoakum called the government into session, for the territory was as well supplied with officials as a dog is with fleas. The members took extreme offense at the ultimatum, offense being cheap and plentiful in those parts, and a plan of action was adopted. Some 35 militiamen presented themselves at the county courthouse in Pineville and pitched tents on the grounds, resolved to defend the county seat from the northern interlopers. Here, the law intervened in the person of Sheriff John Tennyson. The sheriff appreciated the publicity well enough, along with the influx of curious tourists who came with money and left without it, yet a line had to be drawn somewhere. McDonald County may have seceded, he announced, but the courthouse still belongs to the state of Missouri. The militia saw the justice in this and moved their encampment down to Knoll. The defenders established their lines at the Main Street Bridge over Butler Creek and near a night spot called Shadow Lake, which shows sound military instinct, since an army ought to camp within reach of refreshment. The Jasper County forces, learning where the defenses stood, attacked from the other end of town, the oldest trick in warfare, and the one that never fails. The Battle of Knoll raged in its fashion, with both sides claiming small victories, until somebody proposed a truce, and nobody could think of a reason against it. The commanding officers of both armies retired to the Wagon Wheel Cafe on Main Street to negotiate, and the negotiations went handsomely, lubricated with food and drink. Each side maintained it had prevailed, which is the customary outcome of any battle where the casualties are light and the coffee is hot. McGowan agreed that further talks on the secession question would be considered. It was further settled that the battleship USS Missouri would be handed over to the McDonald County Provisional Government and moored at Lake St. Clair in Knoll. I don't know that the Navy was ever consulted, though I suspect the ship would have had a tight squeeze of it coming up the Elk River. The movement had more sides to it than a courthouse lawyer. County men got themselves up in costume, wearing the kind of clothing they figured outsiders expected of hillbillies, and stopped tourist automobiles on the roads. The men carried firearms so old and so thoroughly retired from service that most couldn't have harmed anything but the man holding them. They asked the travelers for visas, and when none were produced, which was always the case, they reached into a pocket and handed over printed cards that let the visitors roam the territory at their leisure. By all accounts, the tourists enjoyed the performance as much as the natives did. The enterprise was choreographed down to the last detail. Territorial stamps were printed and circulated, and 3 territorial post offices were recognized and opened for business. Signs went up along the roadways advising travelers they were entering McDonald territory and had left Missouri behind, which must have come as a relief to some of them. The notice of secession traveled far, and newspapers as distant as New York City reported on it. A Knoll High School senior named Janice Barnett wrote a letter to the White House, and First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy sent a reply, addressed to McDonald Territory, Knoll, Missouri. When the First Lady of the United States recognizes your sovereignty in the mails, you've got something the United Nations can't give you. The old-timers said the trouble with the state ran deeper than one map. In the summer of 1960, the Missouri Highway Commission had changed its signs so that Highway 71 bypassed Knoll altogether, and a tourist town that gets bypassed is a man with his pockets sewn shut. The vacation land map was the second insult laid on the first, and 2 insults will start a war, whereas one will only start a committee. Everybody came through what some called the secession, and others called the Great Fiasco, more or less unscathed. Rivers Wiley, who ran a service station in Knoll, pronounced it one of the greatest pieces of advertising the town had ever had. There was one casualty on the books. 65-year-old Ralph Hooker was slightly injured at the Battle of Knoll when his Civil War-era musket blew up, and his report from the field deserves preservation. "The darn gun blew up on me," he said. "I'm going home." Generals have surrendered whole armies with less dignity. Every great movement requires a mission statement, and Wiley supplied it. "When we secede," he declared, "everybody will want to live here. We will be tax-free and sell nickel beer." I've read the Declaration of Independence and the Gettysburg Address, and I'll allow they have their merits, yet neither one ever promised a man a nickel beer. The secession carried on through the summer of 1963. Then the cause wound down, and the participants drifted back to their occupations, as revolutionists generally do once the weather turns. Knoll stayed a tourist town for a good while afterward, though some visitors eventually took their vacations elsewhere, many to the new attractions around Branson. Harmon's letter to Governor Forbes was postmarked in 1962, the state having issued a fresh tourism map that once again overlooked Knoll and its neighbors. Forbes, who knew good theater when he saw it, sent back a reply, and in the interest of brevity, I'll paraphrase his remarks. He said, "Why the heck not?